The smile and installations are my pain. I'm going mad. Oh. Anyway, little scorpions there for you.
Please use the kitchen appliances for non-fishy endeavors. As info, Sherman will be in the tank for most of Monday.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
So here we are. Episode 15. Wow.
Lots of good stuff here.
Yep.
Enjoyed our trip to DC.
Yes. It was very refreshing.
We decided to kind of do a day trip, a museum jaunt.
Yes, we did.
Cannot get out of DC without seeing at least one person that
scares the shit out of us.
Yeah. Let me paint the scene. We are just walking up the sidewalk,
trying to find the garage we parked in.
This guy is ahead of us. He's currently screaming at another guy. Now, how I kind of know that the other guy doesn't know him is because he's not looking. He's just dum-da-dum-da-dum, not engaging, just continuing to walk up the street. This guy is tall, skinny, shirtless, baseball hat on backwards, chain smoking, stalking in circles, and apparently yelling at random people.
It's like he's like storming like he's on stage as Henry Rollins in 1981, basically walking right towards us.
So I looked at you and I'm like, should we cross the street? I mean, I had really bad vibes from this guy. I mean, he was just...
Hey, the homeless people are much more aggressive in DC than they are in Baltimore.
I don't even know if he was homeless. I don't know what his issue was.
He was definitely enjoying some sort of chemical refreshment, that's for sure. Yeah.
So I just did the don't make eye contact, don't look at all.
Seriously, the my favorite exhibit that we saw was the Chinese art.
Oh.
The entire floor of this museum was art that was made, paintings, photography, that was made illegally. But obviously you could be arrested for doing it.
All the way back to the Tiananmen Square, era.
Yeah, just really breathtaking art from these poor Chinese people that are living in such oppression. But like we said, we feel that oftentimes oppression creates an environment for the best art.
And so much of this modern art, it's not just paintings, it's photographs, it's series
collages,
of photographs, collages, videos. We saw some amazing videos.
Amazing art. Yeah.
That are just, they are art. And
it's being created underground under communist rule. And it's very refreshing. It recharges your batteries to see that kind of thing. Things that we take for granted here. What kind of Wi-Fi signal is this? That's what we're worried about. So yeah, it's too much fucking perspective is what it is, as Snaggletooth would say. Anyway, all right. So did I tell you? Let's lighten it up a little bit. My brother got me another really lame gift. Fucking Ivan Drago t-shirt. Right in the trash. Right in the trash.
Because I liked the Ravens vest.
Yeah, he doesn't do well with gifts. But even if someone gets me a horrible gift, I'm just usually too lazy to return it or re-gift it. I remember one time our nephew got us a juicer for Christmas, contrary to the fact that none of us ever expressed a need for juicing, not even steroids. Didn't even have any juice in the house on any given day. This thing had multiple attachments, a huge cord, total albatross in the kitchen. And he would come over and say, "Where's the juicer? Where's the juicer?"
Oh my God.
Finally, I pitched it, So
that reminds me of when we used to go to a gym, my cousin and I, and we would come out, and my daughter was about 16. So I kept going up to the bar. We were sitting at a table, and I'd order us a beer and her like a pineapple juice.
Right.
So about my third trip up, when I was ordering yet another cup of juice, he turned around and said, "Who's the juicer?" Which I thought was weird, but okay.
Yeah.
So just reminded me of that when he said that. But another kind of gift, and I actually asked for this gift because my mom had a dehydrator, and she was making dehydrated chips and potatoes.
It's a fucking weird looking thing, too.
Cucumbers. And I thought it would be really fun. But what I didn't understand until I went to do it the first time is like all the instructions are like, You have to leave the stuff in for like 20 hours.
20 hours.
The first time it was kind of a fail because I didn't actually have it on.
Yeah.
I thought I had it on. I only had the blower on, and after 20 hours, I was like, I'll just throw this out. So I don't know. Maybe I got to read some more. Maybe when I have, my next 20 hours, I need something to do.
20 hours to kill. Speaking of gift stories, we had in my early 20s, we had a secret Santa exchange. And it was a lot of young people there, and we all knew each other pretty well, a lot of joking around. And of course, I was always a comedian. I was thinking about the Coyote and the Roadrunner when it came time to do your 3 gift suggestions for Secret Santa. So I thought it'd be funny. I wrote 1 Acme snowmaking machine, 2 a bat cape, and 3 a large rubber fish, right? And I put that into the hat, right? So I thought for sure one of the girls I was dating or whatever would see it, or would get it and have a chuckle. No. The part-time Hispanic secretary ended up getting my name. She had no idea that I was joking. And when it came time to exchange, she gave me a toy Snoopy snow cone machine. And she apologized. She said, "I'm sorry, Mark, they did not have Acme." So I learned to stop being an ass at work after that. So, another gift story. My ex liked Five Below to save money. Her logic was,
crap.
Right. I could, for the same money, I can get you 5 gifts at Five Below instead of 1 gift somewhere else, which no one seemed to agree with, but whatever. So one year she got her younger brother this montage, a t-shirt that said, "I love to fart," a beer dispensing plastic helmet, and a mug that said, "Relationship status, waiting for a miracle." So next time we saw her, he said her gifts were affecting his
Oh
self-esteem.
my God.
Oh my gosh. This is you.
Maybe not have habanero in my eye.
Oh, geez. Don't touch your eye.
Yeah, I was always like, seemed to fall into that category where you date somebody for a while and they buy you something, and then when you break up with them, they feel the need to take it back.
Right.
Which
it was theirs all along. Yeah.
There's a name for that. I think it's not politically correct right now.
I think it's called Native American giver. Yeah.
But it was like, the only thing he got me I thought was totally unselfish,
Yeah,
and actually nice is we were at the Corning Glass Museum, another museum which has some wild stuff in it.
Yeah.
And they had these. It looks like a cat. You know how they curl up in a perfect circle, nose to tail.
Glass sculpture.
Yeah. It was cats, and I looked at them, and they were about $30 a sculpture. So I didn't get them. I just admired them. And anyway, he got me a 3-cat sculpture that looked like each one of my cats, a ginger one, a black one, and we didn't have Vlad at the time, and a calico. Well, he kind of liked Annabelle. She was the only one he did like. So when he got his pink slip, away went just the calico.
Just the glass calico. He didn't take the cat.
No, just the glass one. And it's just never, like you said, unfeeling gifts. I dated a guy for years that got me earrings.
Cat earrings. Yeah.
Hi, my ears aren't pierced. They've never been pierced. Probably because my hair is long and you can't see my ears anyway. So it just seems
like,
little.
Do you know me at all? Are you paying attention? Yeah. We used to go to the family parties of my exes, and I liked getting the young nieces and nephews obnoxious t-shirts for the holidays. Okay. And what I would do is I'd be like, "Come here, Devin, come here." And I would just put the shirt on him, like, so that there could be no deliberation. Right. So, I wait until their parents were preoccupied and I'd whip out the shirt. It was their secret present. It would say something on it obnoxious, like "allergic to lame gifts, trick or treat, smell my feet. Today's advice, don't be a peckerhead." I loved putting that on the kids. And then go running up, they go, "Mommy, Uncle Mark got me a shirt." And the parents would be like, "It's my favorite shirt now." I loved it. I mean, you got to find fun where you can get it, So, I also, along the lines of t-shirts, I've mentioned it before, but in my house, when my kids were growing up, Motorhead shirts replaced the tie as the Father's Day go-to gift, right? I'm probably the only man in the entire universe that has this, but I had to have I had to actually have a sit down with the kids and say, guys, Dad's got 5 Motorhead shows. Okay. Let's vary up the gifts a little bit more for Father's Day. How about some gift cards?
You have a Motorhead tattoo.
That's true. So anyway, getting back to Native American givers. Yeah.
I had a guy who bought me a 57-inch. He even tagged me in it on Facebook, looking at birthday TVs, which, by the way, I did not ask for. I guess he bought this big TV set so he could come over and watch his football games on it. Mysteriously enough, it disappeared when I gave him the can.
Yep, there you go. Yeah.
So it's like
Is this the guy that took the washer and dryer? Oh yeah.
Washer and dryer.
Just cleaned her out.
Yeah,
Nice. Really.
Very good. I was just like, you know what? Just get out. But there was also even the guy who got me a Roomba, which I kind of thought was an odd gift. Here, you can't vacuum properly. Let me get you a robot vacuum.
Right.
I have to worry about this goddamn Roomba because you have it set to go off at a particular day.
Yeah.
So that day I'd be like, it's Roomba day. And I'd get up and make sure there was nothing on the floor that could inhibit it.
Like it was a pet or something.
Yeah. I used to worry about it. And then after I broke up with him, I thought, oh, I'll start up the Roomba. No, it was gone. It was gone.
Wow. Couldn't let you keep that. No. Kind of reminds me of my father. My father is such a cheapskate. The 3 of us, my brothers and I, we have this rule: never accept my father's tool donations. The only reason why he's given away a tool is because it's on its last leg and he just wants to get rid of it, right? Never accept. Always just make an excuse, right? But he got me a couple of years ago because I've always wanted a nice table saw and he was getting rid of his. And I somehow spazzed out and forgot my own rule. So I took it down the basement. I got it all set up. And the motor was so worn out, it was burning the wood, not cutting it. The basement was full of smoke. And I was like, God damn it, I should have known. And here's the interesting thing. That basement at the time had no ventilation. I didn't know smoke just will sit there. Like it was like being in like foggy London, England or something. I had to go open up the windows and fan to get the smoke out. I was like, thanks, Dad. Real good.
I have a cousin who freaks out if her husband gives her anything, and this is her rule, with a plug. Because if you're giving someone something that has a plug, it's like, a vacuum or something to cook with or a hard-boiled egg cooker. In other words, it's kind of insulting. Like, here, do some work. So she always freaks out. So it can't be anything with a plug. But I kind of gave her, it was a very expensive blanket I got from Society 6, and she sent me a video of her dog playing tug of war with it. So
I could see if you're giving that person like a life bike and diet books, like that's a little heavy-handed, but plugged things.
No, she had a thing. Don't give her anything with a plug.
No, I guess the dehydrator was centering the
Probably.
spasms.
Yes, that would be work. That would be assigning someone work.
Sorry to keep going back to the dehydrator, but it looks like a spaceship, and it looks like you're gonna plug it in, and it's gonna like there could be things living on the tiers. Yeah. So.
You got the butter churn.
Oh, talk about that.
If you could put all the ingredients in there, you had to buy cheesecloth separately, a butter container separately.
So he bought you one tiny piece of something that was actually a huge system where you had to buy a bunch of other shit and a ton of work to do it. Yeah.
And
real nice.
You would sit there watching TV just churning until you felt like your wrist was going to fall off and you weren't anywhere near close to butter. You had to keep going and going and going to eventually get this little mound of something. And then it said it had to be used within 2 weeks. How much butter are you using?
I bought you a pickaxe so you can start up your coal mine. Yeah, that's what that is basically. It always bums me out when somebody, you can tell, spent a lot of money, but the gift is really lame. My parents owned this category. One year, they paid a huge amount of money to get my bachelor's degree framed. Yeah, I'll carry that around to job interviews. That's real nice, Another time, she got monogram welcome mats for the front and back door. My ex was like, we're never using this. I was like, hell no, we're not. Ridiculous,
You come to think of it, I've gotten my kids customized welcome mats, and I've never seen them at any of their houses, so maybe I should take a clue.
It was because it was the March Madness. They were trying to be like,
this
is our,
Mine was Robin, Rosa, Britt, and Mike. Never ever seen them at their house. I guess
What about your grandmother?
My grandmother was always so frazzled at Christmas. After my grandfather died, it was just a little much for her to try to get everything wrapped. And one time she gave me, the clothes item that still had the security tag attached. So I really liked it, but I had to tell her, so she insisted on going back to the store with me. And she wasn't super sure where the receipt was, but we went in and she just started to go into raise hell mode. I mean, she was yelling and finger wagging and
Because the tag was on it?
because they forgot to take the security tag off. They didn't even ask to see that receipt. And largely, I think it's because she was turning purple.
When my mom worked for McCormick Spice Company, for a while, everything we got for gifts was promotional swag. McCormick jackets, McCormick polos, McCormick ice scrapers. She gave us multiple McCormick spice racks. Luckily, my ex was a hypochondriac, so we filled them up with medicine. This is actually an interesting category. Another weird thing about my parents, I never remembered to get them gifts for the holidays. I would just leave that up for my ex to figure out, right? And they would just throw so much shade at whatever she picked out. My mom is the queen of shade, right? Plants, garden stuff, knickknacks, whatever. They would say, "What is it?" And they opened it. What am I supposed to?
It's a home run when that happens.
What am I supposed to do with it? But if I picked out a gift, which was really rare, they would rave about it, right? It drove everybody nuts. One year, I think I found a multiple picture frame, right? I don't remember buying it. I think it was probably like laying in the basement or something. And I was too lazy to put pictures in it. So I just drew little cartoons making fun of my dad. They hung it on the wall and raved about it for like 10 years. It's probably still there. Yeah, I spent zero time on it. Same thing with my brother, right? He goes out of his way. Shout out, Brian. He goes out of his way to special order them unique, expensive, personalized gifts, and they just throw shade. A Disney Beauty and the Beast crystal tea set. Now, I know this easily set him back a couple $100, right? Guess what I did that year?
Right.
Christmas Day, on our way to their house, I stopped at CVS to pick up my daughter's prescription. And I'm like, oh, look, a Richard Simmons head chia pet.
Who wouldn't want that?
$10 on the clearance rack. Guess what gift they raved about?
No.
Brian was so pissed. Yeah. Did you see what Mark got us? Come look. Oh, my God. All right. Maybe we should talk about the interview.
Our feature interview this week is a band we've loved for decades. The Dutch heavy instrumental band KONG.
Yes.
We have a great visit with mainstay songwriter and bassist Mark Drillich and guitarist Tijis of KONG about the history of this incredible band and the making of their brand new album, Traders of Truth. We get into songwriting techniques, live show recaps, merch ideas, even a hatred of leafblowers, and how I think they can be the next Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
And so stay tuned for that. So let's get this party started with a song from Traders of Truth. This is Chaos as Law.
I love that. And, you might, if you're new to instrumental music, every time I hear their songs, I end up singing the guitar riffs. I do.
Very cool. Another reason why we call this show the Snaggletooth Extreme Music Podcast, because they are definitely extreme. They might not be classified as metal, depends, but they are music.
I don't know, those heavy guitar riffs.
Yeah, they're heavy, okay.
And you know what?
I mean, compared to they're not a dark throne.
No, but their whole discography is amazing. Yeah. And every single album is solid and riffy and amazing with all those little sound noises.
They don't sound like anybody else.
No.
So anyway, okay, Patreon time. Patreon.com/Snaggletooth Podcasts. I've teased this on the other show, but I'm just about ready to post my list of the top 10 heavy psych records of the 70s. I thought this would be a quick process, but it ended up being quite the rabbit hole. I'm walking around going, where's my Harry Chapter album? Where's Dust Heart Attack? I know I have this around here somewhere. So yeah, it's handlebar mustaches, crazy Germans, heavy denim jackets, strange phosphates. The sun is drying up my brain. The smile and installations are my pain. I'm going mad. Oh. Anyway, little scorpions there for you. So patreon.com/Snaggletooth podcast for $6.66 a month. You get tons of content that you can't get anywhere else. More Mark and Stace than you can choke a camel with.
Also, we need to get to your beer tasting. Maybe we'll film that later.
A blindfolded beer tasting with Mark. What could go wrong? Okay. I think it's kind of interesting that in the year 2023, we still say memo to self. Who's writing memos anymore?
Never use that feature with Google. Don't turn on.
Yeah.
Where you can yell out, I don't want to say it because it'll turn on, but if I say, okay,
yeah.
G word,
right.
Make a shopping list. So you can just keep adding to the shopping list. Yeah. I was always like, how do I look at it later?
Little flaw there. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, for those of you that don't remember, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, memos were the way that management communicated to employees. You'd get like a little piece of paper. Remember the movie Office Space? Yeah. I'll make sure I get you a copy of that memo, right?
It's kind of before even email.
Before even email, yeah. I worked for a company in the late 90s. I've talked about it before. This little old man kind of ran it, and he loved memos. But he used to write these bonkers memos. He hated it when it snowed because people would be talking about it too much. So here's an example. He would write, memorandum. We are all aware of inclement weather this week. However, I am hearing too much discussion of snow in the office, which takes us away from productive time. Please minimize conversations about snow during working hours. Thanks for understanding.
There's always one person in every office. If it starts to flurry and 3 snowflakes hit, they have to run to the window and yell, it's snowing!
Right. And
why?
We'll break into a panic because they don't like to drive in the snow or whatever.
And it was like literally 3 flakes.
Anyway, this crazy guy was also a stickler for his dress code. I remember one time he sent a memorandum that had pictures of approved footwear for ladies. It was like pictures of boots. I was like, what am I looking at here? They were like drawn. Okay, not okay, right?
No Crocs.
But why stop there? Let's start here. Why don't you start the next memorandum? Here's some memorandums for you.
All right. It came to the attention of management that the microwaves are being used to heat up fishy items. Kind of vague. This causes a deathly stench that affects morale. Please use the kitchen appliances for non-fishy endeavors. I had an office. They also banned microwave popcorn because inevitably somebody would walk away and it would burn. And the whole office would smell like burnt popcorn for like 3
It is kind of nasty when you're cooking up fishy stuff in the microwave anymore. It is kind of gross.
I apologized to the entire kitchen because I was heating up something with broccoli in it. I'm like, sorry, this is gonna be smelly.
Memorandum. While we are happy to provide supplies for the tea room, management has noticed a lot of idle time during tea time. We ask that our team teabags more expeditiously so as to maximize efficient working hours.
I don't think he knows what teabagging means.
Memorandums.
All right. So starting the week of June 1st, the company has hired the Biatches Landscaping.
No.
What?
Biatches Landscaping Incorporated.
Okay.
All right.
Memorandum. Starting the week of June 1st, the company has hired Biatches Landscaping to rework and refertilize some parts of the garden around the plant's West Parkway exit. Please use the Warren Road exit that week because the Biatches will be hoeing around on West Parkway. Obviously, best not to stare.
Go in. Memorandum. The front well at the South Howard Street extraction plant will be closed from August 1st through 14th for resurfacing. During this time, any extensive drilling will need to be done in the rear. It's hard to get through the... All right, you do the last one.
All right. Installation of the new combustion tanks will be completed this Friday, April 25th, and our CEO, David Sherman, will visit for an inspection and photo session on April 28th. As info, Sherman will be in the tank for most of Monday.
All right, let's play a Kong song. This is called The Ripper.
One of my faves.
All right. Let's talk about a new sponsor. Very exciting. Take it away, Stace.
This is near and dear to my heart. We literally have gotten coffee from them for years. I can show you some of our blends. Coffee AM is actually out of Georgia. They make incredible coffees. They even go so far as to, we're probably out of their incredible coffee right now. When you order every bag, you could order almost everything comes caffeinated or not non-caffeinated. I don't know why you'd want non-caffeinated, but perhaps if you have a medical condition, you can order it French press, drip grind, whole bean. You can have it pretty much any way you want. You can get the full pounds of coffee look like this. This happens to be a breakfast blend. They also do sell stuff in half pounds. They're all color coded. This is organic Timor. They have fair trade coffee. They've got microbrews. They have microbrews. They have, which sounds like beer, but it's not. They also have microbrew coffee. And they have a lot of different flavors. These are some of ours. This is a coconut cream, which is super yummy. They've got just pages of flavors, guys. They also have, this is another flavor, chocolate macadamia nut coffee.
Clearly, we're not out of coffee.
We are not out of coffee. We just got our shipment. They also do have teas. They have coffee paraphernalia if you need a press.
All of the coffee is ground by Eskimos and Bolivian hairdressers, too. Little known fact.
Anyway, if you click on the link, this will save you on your first order from Coffee AM. They use FedEx, comes right to your door. They have amazing. You can even get that really super expensive Hawaiian coffee on there if you would.
Do they have the cat food coffee?
They do not have the cat food coffee. They do have one that I would recommend. It's a New Orleans blend of chicory. Really good. Anyway, get over there, use our link, and save money on your first order from coffeeam.com.
Okay, we have a new segment. I'll roll out the intro, which I'm very proud of.
Because streaming services are evil corporations that gatekeep bands from their fans and pay them pennies while collecting millions.
This is Campfire.
Okay, Campfire, the best bands on Bandcamp, and Bandcamp is absolutely the best way to support an artist. I actually think, excuse me, I actually think Bandcamp might be the most direct link between a band and their fans ever, going all the way back to the 70s and 80s when labels distributed records and CDs, because it was like you sign this nebulous contract, they give you a loan to make the record, and then you have to sell X amount of records to pay it back, and then you have to sell X amount of records before you get a small piece of each record. So, and it's all their number keeping. So, but the thing about Bandcamp is bands get almost 100% of the payments for swag, for CDs, for patches, for vinyl, whatever.
And they even have Bandcamp Fridays where they will waive any fees that they charge these artists on Fridays.
Right. I mean, they have to charge them a small fee, but it's nothing like what the labels used to do. And it's nothing like these streaming services that you get 8 million streams and you get 5 cents in the mail. I mean, it's just criminal. So Bandcamp is a service that Snaggletooth Podcast wants to get behind in a big way, and this is why we are rolling out this feature. So the first band we're going to talk about is from Canton, Ohio. They're called Night Goat. Why don't you go ahead and talk about it a little bit?
Really like these guys. Night Goat. It looks like their first EP came out in 2017. They are named after quite an outstanding Melvin song.
Yes, they are.
And the new album is Totem. You can definitely hear, they also did some Sam Hain tribute records. Yeah. You can hear those influences. You can definitely hear the Melvins influences. In
Sam Hain and the Melvins, people, come on.
Tone, that single tone that kind of just.
She likes the feedback squall. Like, I went and saw I saw Melvins a bunch of times, but I just remember like Buzzo would just let one note hang. I'm like, are we still listening to one note? It's been like 10 minutes, He was the master of that. But anyway.
I love that when that one note is there and then everything else drops so when it's still there.
And then Dale Grover would start dun 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 dun. Oh, fucking great.
Anyway, let's take a look at their Bandcamp page. Look at that gorgeous satanic goat head.
Yes, we are in the right section of the site.
They do have vinyl. They do have vinyl is available, only $15 plus shipping. And the CD is $8. Cassettes sold out.
All right, let's look at some of the commentary.
Warchrist 30 says, not only is there a goat named after the band that isn't bestial black metal, Night Goat achieves something very difficult today. While I may occasionally hear what I assume is an influence, they are uniquely themselves. Plus, they kick ass, which never hurts. Favorite track, Head Lice.
Rippin' Rich says, absolutely bludgeoning LP from start to finish, and honestly, the best release I've heard in far too long. I've been listening to this pretty much nonstop and still can't get enough of it. I should have broken bones from violently slamming myself repeatedly into the wall with every listen. Okay, that's a little weird. My face should be long melted off due to the ferocity and sheer intensity of the vocals. The music is a perfect backdrop to the insanity blasting out of my speakers. Nothing short of brilliant. Rippin' Rich, I recommend Decaf. For me, I mean, I love how haggy her vocals are. The singer's name is Julia Bentley. She's channeling Marianne Faithfull over sludge metal, basically. It reminds me of bands like Acid King and Steel Pole Bathtub. The site is nightgoat13.bandcamp.com. So get over there now and snag some goat. So let's play a song right up your alley. Go ahead. What's it called?
Child of Owls. Campfire 2. This is coming at you from Portland, Oregon. A new EP that was just dropped a couple weeks ago from Negative Prayer. This is a duo of Charles Korn on drums and Carl House on everything else. Now, what I think is interesting is these two are also in a 4-piece called The Crepacy. Okay, the same two guys, but they alone make up this duo. So let's take a look at their page, which is negativeprayer.bandcamp.com. Excellent toothy artwork.
Very much approved.
They have white vinyl of the new EP is $11 plus shipping.
No excuses. No excuses, people.
They describe their sound as current and ex-members of Poison, Idea, Acephalax.
Sounds good.
Of course, the Crepacy, which they're also members of, Incantation, and Funebrarum.
It's Funebrarum.
And
Funebrarum.
And Funebrarum.
Good.
Playing brutal D beat crossed in the vein of Driller Killer and Wolfpack.
Yeah, it made me think, remember when I used to make mixtapes of hardcore bands for people like Infest and GBH and Poison ID and Fang and stuff. And whenever I was listening to it, it was always the crusty stuff like this that made you sit up and go, holy fuck, like Skit System and Gauze. It always dominated over all the others just because it's so freaking heavy. And this Negative Prayer reminds me of that stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of their themes are about the visceral experience of being disconnected, dejected, and discarded in what can be a brutal system. And kind of it's that crunchy crustcore with great songwriting. It's a really good combination.
Okay, well, let's play a song.
All right, this is one of our favorites, Morbid.
Okay, why don't we seg into our discussion with Mark and Tij from KONG.
We had a great time chatting with those guys. I even made sure I wore green today. All their album covers are so colorful and wild, but the latest one is predominantly green. But just talking about this incredible music and the history of the band, really want to thank you guys a lot for coming on the show. Really enjoyed our chat with these guys about all kinds of things KONG related and non-KONG related.
Right, so here it is. Check it out.
It's been quite a morning already.
Already, yes.
Quite a day at this side of the globe.
Hi.
Well, thank you guys for doing this.
Where are you based?
We're in Baltimore, Maryland, U.S., in the East Coast. Yeah. So,
Right. Yeah. Same city.
It's pretty chilly here. It was so weird. I don't know if the weather's been weird there. It was like 70 Thursday, and today it's like 30 and gonna snow.
In 2 days.
Up and down. Yeah.
What's that in our in Celsius? It's pretty hot and pretty cold, I guess.
It's the same, but it's just a different scale. But I presume it's like 70 to 30. So what is that in Celsius? We're using Celsius to express degrees.
Basically, we had June weather 2 days ago, and now we're having February weather. So.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for having us.
No, it's great. We appreciate you doing it. I'm glad we could finally get together.
Yeah, honestly, it was on this Mark's bucket list for quite a while.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've always wanted to interview you guys. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Huge fan for years. Yeah. So.
How come? How did you get to know Kong?
I used to be friends with the guy that ran the BNR metal pages, and he's a huge Kong fan. And I want to say like 10 years ago, he turned me on to you guys. So yeah.
Okay.
So when did you guys first get your start in the music business, and what was like your first bands like?
Whoa.
Goes back away.
We're not that young anymore. So wow. I guess that must have been like a Kiss kind of tribute band when I was 12 or 13 years old. So I was wearing this makeup and I had my own made silver guitar.
Oh wow.
And was like playbacking with a couple of friends to Kiss. Yeah. That was it. That was the first run into playing in a band without even making our own music. So that was a good start. I'm sure.
That's very cool.
Was your family supportive of the thing, or did they think you were nuts?
No, they didn't think I was nuts. Actually, my dad used to play the double bass. My mom played piano, so I'm from like a musical kind of family. My granddad used to play the organ in the church.
Okay.
So it's going back a few generations. It's
really cool.
Kind of different from what we do with Kong, obviously.
So how did Kong come together, and where in the world did you end up with that name from?
Mark.
Well, obviously we started before the internet existed.
Right.
So there wasn't any way to check if it was a good name or not, and especially not if there would be other bands also having the same name or whatever you have, which is named Kong these days. So it was we had to think of a name because we were going to take part in a competition, and we had to have a name like the next day. So we thought, well, Kong, the sound of a gong or whatever. We didn't even think of King Kong or Hong Kong. So it just came up as a sound. And well, since the internet existed, it's a horrible name, because whenever you type Kong in Google, of course, you get millions of hits without finding us. And also, to my amazement, there are so many other artists and even bands who are called Kong. Well, I'm pretty sure that we were the first. I mean, probably in 1998. No, 1988. We already had the name, so
maybe it was 1888. Who knows? Right?
Yeah.
Well, I have a question. Was there ever a plan to have a vocalist, or was it always going to be instrumental from the beginning?
It wasn't a deliberate choice. No, it was it happened. It had to do with the fact that three of us came from a band with a vocalist, and we were kind of fed up with not him as a person, but him as a vocalist.
Okay.
So we, as an alternative, we started making music, the three of us, and none of us were singers. So it started off as instrumental music, and then we attracted, I don't know why, but we attracted another guitar player. And then we thought about, do we need a singer? And we thought, no, we don't need a singer now, at least not for now. Yeah. And well, it stayed like that. Yeah. And we always enjoyed it, the fact that we also, it has disadvantages, of course, because it's for many people it's harder to get into the music without the guidance of vocals.
Yeah.
But I guess in that same period when Kong started, that was always also the beginning of samplers and stuff, and that is something that Kong really used from the beginning in a until then pretty unusual combination with like heavy guitars and stuff like that. So that distracted from like a lead singer, I would say.
Yeah.
It really does. It really does. It really keeps things interesting. It's not like listening to some long jazz solo or something for 20 minutes. You know, it's very it really, the changes in the tempo and the samples really spice things up. I love it.
Yeah.
And also the whole live setup with the 4 stages also makes it easier not to miss a singer, because you have 4 stages and not one stage with like a frontman. So there are basically 4 frontmen or non-frontmen or whatever you want to call it.
How did that come about, the 4-stage
The
thing?
quadraphonic. I love it.
How did that come around?
Well, partly because of what Thijs just mentioned, that we thought, well, we can't, if we're going to play live, we're having a problem because we don't have a front person. And we happened to do, I think it was maybe the second or the third gig we did was in a kind of exhibition space in which there was an exhibition and there was no space, there was no stage. So there was no place where we could sit all 4 of us together. So we divided us over the space, and we didn't use a PA then because it was really small. And then shortly afterwards, we had to play a serious venue, the Melkweg in Amsterdam. And then our technician suggested, why don't we do it the same way as we did it in this exhibition? Just find 3 more stages. The drummer can stay up on the normal stage, and we find 3 small stages, and then I will mix it through, I think he even used 6 speakers by then, 6 places.
Yeah.
And basically right from the first time it worked, and we enjoyed it, the audience enjoyed it, so we kept, and of course it also became a kind of unique selling point at the moment, because we always venues heard about it and audiences heard about it, and it is technically,
I think especially in those days there was more dance influences in the songs, which made it more like a crossover between going to a rock concert and to a dance night, or the audience were like moving and going from one stage to another, and there was lights everywhere and smoke and stroboscopes, etc. So it was really like not a non-traditional rock show. And I think that still is when we play on 4 stages. It's really, it's totally different. It's a different experience, and people choose wherever they want to stay and what their focus is in each song, and and the sound is coming from all around. So
I love stories like that, where something that could have been a deterrent actually becomes something great, like a core element of the band. That's so cool. Yeah.
And no one has ever copied this concept as far as we know. So
which is a pity in a way, because I think it could work for many bands.
I think we could sell it. We could
there you go.
And I think it makes it a much more social event, you know, because you can kind of interact with, you don't all face the same way. So
I think it works like that, and also it takes away the idea of the artist up on the stage and the audience down in the hall. It just it mixes it up a little bit, which is nice. Yeah.
Do you ever have that where somebody says, "Hey, wait a minute, everybody's in front of Mark. What about me?" I'm playing to nobody here.
It's the other way around, and most people are in front of the drummer. And I'm opposite of the drummer, so I have an empty space.
But it is a consequence. There's always 3 of us facing backs somehow, and or actually all 4 of us. But that's funny. That's true.
And what also is really nice about it is that we are ourselves more part of the concert, because we see 3/4 of the band playing, While normally I'm, if you're up on one stage, you're with your back towards the drummer, and you don't experience so much of each other and the band as a whole. So it has a lot of advantages.
I really, Mark has really introduced me to you guys, so I love the songs like that kind of seem like loop worthy, like Hoover or Push Comes to Shove or Rock from the new one. It's just, do you create the loops like in a jam setting, or is it more like electronic?
We don't jam a lot. Actually, that's an understatement. We don't jam at all. Maybe
Well,
at home. At home we do. You may have heard that this album was more or less 95% composed on four different in four different homes or studios. So we didn't really work together a lot. And while writing songs, if you want to call it, or composing songs, we do, or actually, at least I do, jam with my computer and jam with loops and figure out what bass line works best or what guitar riff works nice. And that is a kind of jam. That's a 20th century jam with a computer, I think.
I love it.
And the funny thing is that in the old days, let's say Kong 1.0, we only wrote songs by jamming. So it's the total opposite. Then we we also always thought that's the only way for us to do it, because we need the input of I need the input of the drummer with his own way of thinking and way of playing, and the other guitarist, and so we always were together, the four of us, in the rehearsal room and jamming as long as necessary, which was pretty long sometimes. And it made it also kind of tiring process and frustrating sometimes. So I'm glad that we don't have to do it anymore like that. But the funny thing is that although we're working totally different now, it somehow remains the same, at least I hope, I think, the same kind of music and the same style. Recognizable at least.
Very recognizable, yeah. The early records, every song was one word. And then over time, the titles got longer. Like, was that by design or you know?
Never noticed.
No, it probably was a lack of good one-word titles after a while. The titles are really, most of the time they are like this, you know. It's
really?
we
the whole
finish all
process.
songs, and in the very last stage before we have to finish the artwork, we decide everybody has to supply titles, and we just decide, well, this song is called like that, and that one is, and so.
What's the one that's got a question mark and it's all those numbers? And how do you introduce that song live? I mean,
because it's just a question mark and then an F.
I can explain. I don't know what a question mark comes from. I think we don't know a name, so we put a question mark, and afterwards it says 17 something 239 FD, I think, and FD stands for funky drummer, because there is a sample of the funky drummer which has been used thousands of times before, and then we also used it, so we were a little bit like, we also use it. So that's so sometimes they mean something, but they mostly have to do with, like, we had a song called Bella Soul, which has a sample of Bella Bartok, and Stockhouse is another song, has a sample of Stockhausen. So that's sometimes how the titles
they're little, kind of like little clues about how they're put together, I guess.
Yeah, I love the violin in that song.
In which song? In the Bella Soul.
Bella Soul.
Yeah. And we don't have lyrics, right? So we have, if you have lyrics, that makes it much more logical to choose a certain title, but we don't. So. That is also a reason.
Is it easier to simulate these instruments? Because I think a lot of what I hear is synthesizer, or to actually play like a horn or a chime or something like that.
I think in general, whenever you hear like, let's say, a classical instrument, it's a sample, and it's not a sample from from a sample bank or whatever. It's taken from an album, from a record, from a recording, from a radio or whatever. Okay. Don't tell anyone. No, but they're really...
No one will know.
I think they're okay. They're really short and they're processed. And whenever you hear another electronic sound, it probably is a synthesizer, but at least I use synthesizers. When I use them, I want to sound them as a synthesizer. I don't like simulating like a horn or a trumpet or whatever. So we have a pretty big sample library which we create ourselves by recording stuff and taking stuff from the radio or now from the internet, of course. All voices that are in the music are all from whatever obscure video of some talk show or whatever we can find, and we just take little parts and
that's cool.
We process them.
I like it. Yeah, that's
Stockhouse almost reminds me of like a dishwasher running. That cyclical, you know, with the sound of the one part.
Yeah.
That it almost sounds like when your dishwasher is a little rusty and it goes wah, 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 wah. Do you get a lot of inspiration just from everyday noise?
Oh yes.
I'm not sure which
as long as there's a rhythm, you can always, or you can often just recognize a rhythm in non-musical sounds. And if it's not a rhythm already, then we can process it in a way or cut it in a way that it becomes a rhythm. And that makes the possibilities really like endless and very inspirational.
I think on this album, there is an intro of a song it's a sound from a printer. You know, like a laser printer or whatever, inkjet printer. There's one of, I don't know what the word is in English. When they build a house, you have this.
Oh yeah.
To make the fundament.
Oh, like a pile driver? Yeah, like a post hole digger, I guess, type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
maybe it's
somewhere and use it as a rhythm, and it's nice to have. Very especially now, of course, whenever you have your phone with you, you can record everything in pretty good quality and use it later on.
I think those pillars.
Who do you guys get compared to?
Compared?
Who do they compare you to, and do you like the comparison? Like when people say that Kong sounds like X, like who do you hear the most?
That's the thing. It's pretty hard to pinpoint, I guess, because I actually never. It's more the other way around that people say, well, that part of a song reminds me of Kong, but as far as I know,
no, it's not. No, there are sometimes references, more like if you like Voivod. Or if you like Porcupine Tree or whatever, then you might like this album of Kong as well, something like that.
Gotcha.
But it's not. Yeah. What do you know? What would you compare Kong to?
Well, I always thought it sounded like that you guys were maybe there was some craft work up in there or something like that, you know, or Einstürzen de Neubauten or something like that. You know, Again, I'm probably way off, but that's what I always thought.
Certain things, especially on the new one with the amount of guitar and I got the idea. I was like, you guys could do like a Trans-Siberian Orchestra thing where you could have the pyrotechnics and the weird little acts in between songs. I was like, this is a thought for them.
Yeah.
Because I've seen them.
You could pick Halloween. You could be like the Halloween
instead of Christmas, because they always
Christmas,
do Christmas stuff. You guys could do a different holiday.
Because those guys they're making all kinds of money doing that, you know.
I could definitely see you guys doing it. That'd be wild.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But without setting you guys on fire.
Okay. No, but with
great.
I think with kind of performances like we have here in Europe, there's a theater group from Spain. It's called La Fura dels Baus, and they make totally crazy performances with fireworks also, and with acrobatics and with big machines and stuff like that. And I saw them a couple of times, and I thought, well, if we would be here the musical component, it would be brilliant. I think that could work really well. Also, not being on one stage, but just in between the performers.
Yeah, should be nice.
I actually sent them a CD, I think, about 20 years ago, but never got a reply.
Never arrived.
Or maybe not. No.
Yeah, like I really like the one video for where you got people kind of coming into a hallway and then out as the music kind of intensifies. There's more people in the hallway. You could do something like that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's a nice video. We made it ourselves in an empty cloister. And
do you mean the video we have online?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it worked really well. With very limited budget and facilities. I think it's a nice clip.
It's actually the place where it's former cloister, and David, the other guitar player, has his studio there in one of those rooms, and he also lives quite nearby, and it is still empty, so we could use it for this video.
Yeah, I liked when you were talking about it was recorded in a studio in 2 attics.
Yeah.
In Amsterdam. So
it's a little bit exaggerated, but
that's
it is
really
4 places. I have here upstairs, I have my place where I can record, and Thijs also at home. And then we have a rehearsal room studio here in Amsterdam, and we record drums over there, and we rehearse there when there are gigs. But with these nowadays technical possibilities with the computer, it's really not necessary to be in a real studio. You can do everything at home perfectly, and you can send the songs you're working on, you can send them to the others by WeTransfer, of course, or whatever, over the internet, and it's a little bit
yeah, that's what we hear. Yeah.
It also came about due to COVID, I think, because there were so many restrictions for quite a long while. So we decided to look for other ways to work together, and also we're also all of us is doing other things a lot, so we don't have much time in common. At the same spot, in the same place. So this worked, really well. And
Can I ask you?
You guys are so efficient.
It took us 2 years.
I wanted to tell you. I wanted to tell. I mean, I know that, like you said, the technology and the equipment is much easier to do with home recording and trading files and that sort of thing. There was a recent interview with Neil Schon from Journey, and he said it cost $750,000 to make a Journey record. And I just thought, how? In 2023, really?
Yeah, because they take
what's he doing?
Guitar solo. Over and over again, and in the end it's probably a very boring record. It's really a low budget. I was talking to Mark yesterday when we received the first box of CDs, and this is really a low budget production, but I think we managed to make it sound like very well. We're very happy with the results and the sound, and also the mixer, Dag Erik from Norway. I think he's done a great job. But yeah, maybe it's efficiency, but it's also we're kind of perfectionists too. So and obviously with all modern technology, which is within reach, you don't need to rent expensive studios for weeks. Because and we're very fortunate to have our own studio to record drums in, which is really a good sounding studio.
Yeah, the new
But
album sounds great. It really pops from the speakers. It's great.
Yeah.
There's so many tempo and texture experiments going on. I like the electronic piano in Mesmeron is so neat.
Yeah.
How did you guys come up with that kind of jam? It's different.
I don't know. I made that part, and I don't play piano, so I also then of course the computer helps because you can do something with your limited possibilities, and then you can correct everything in the computer, and as long as needed. And
no, you're just a brilliant piano player, Mark.
Sorry.
You're just a brilliant piano player. Don't tell them all the secrets.
I could say that as well, yeah. But yeah, well, again, it's the advantage of nowadays computer technology that you can make stuff like.
You have access to so many sounds, and which
sounds, but also
makes it
you don't really have to play it.
No, but also is you have to make so many choices other than being in a 4-piece band with just 2 guitars, bass, and drums. That's in a way it's much easier. There is such a richness of sounds in this album, or in all Kong's albums, but it's also a matter of choosing a lot, and that is not always easy. And it's also a matter of
there's so much good on this one though. I really love the Flat Earth Society. There's almost this sense of chaos kind of built into it, a little sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
I was really riffing
it's good to hear because
lot.
you're basically one of the first, or maybe the first people from outside the band who heard the album, because we didn't send it out yet. So I'm really curious.
Thank you for sending up front.
Premiere, indeed. Yeah, because the release date is next week. It's not until next Friday that the record is officially out. So this is a bit of a premiere.
And it's really difficult.
You joined in.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
But I was going to say that it's also it is a problem in a way that when you're working such a long time on your own and without going to a studio where there are other people who are commenting and giving feedback, that you really don't know anymore what you're doing, that you just have to rely on yourself and the other band members, of course, but you also have this tunnel vision that what you're doing makes sense. And I'm always kind of worried that we are losing reality at some point, that we are doing great stuff, but we're the only ones who are going to hear that. Yeah. So still, after so many albums, it's and that also makes it nice, of course, that we don't really know what we are doing. There's no recipe, and that's good, of course. And it's also like now, if I would even dare to think about starting working on new songs, I wouldn't know where to start. It's totally blank again, and it will take a while, I'm sure. But well, that keeps it interesting, of course, and it also it is the reason that we're still doing it, I think, because it's obviously we're not making lots of money, and there is an audience, but it's not a huge audience, so we're doing it because there's still something to
tell.
Let out in a way, yeah. I guess, yeah.
How do you choose? You have a lot of albums at this point. How do you choose a set list? Like, what goes into a Kong set list? How far back do you go?
Well, there's also two favorites, not just for us, but also for the audience. From I think the first 2 or 3 albums, and it's also a matter of not all songs work in a live situation. either technically or just there's too much happening, too many guitar parts or whatever. So that's also a consideration that we make. What is working and what can we play without too many things coming out of a computer.
But we try different.
You joined in.
We try other old songs now and then again to see if they fit and if we still like to play them, and that's it's quite nice to be able to go back 25 years in time and think, well, maybe we can try this one once again, or maybe even for the first time. And of course, the lineup of the band is 3/4 different from what it used to be in the 90s. So that's always also interesting to play old songs with new people and see how they work, how they sound. But we have, I think, from the second album, we always play 1 or 2 songs. And then from the first, we tried a couple, but they are gone again. And then there's only 1 album we don't play anything of because that's too much electronical. It's called Free Control, the album, and it just doesn't work to play them live. So, but there was enough left. Sure.
Has Kong Music, has anyone ever approached you to put it in a movie soundtrack or a video game or, you know, something like that, or a TV show?
Many people suggested that we should do it, but we can't do that. But I think it is very suitable. But at this stage, it never really happened. No. I think we need someone to do that for us because you can't really do it yourself. Maybe Mark,
or you have to be lucky that some director or whoever comes across it, like the famous story of Rammstein, who ended up in this David Lynch movie, and that was their big breakthrough. And I think they were just basically lucky.
They're huge now. They're bigger than Kiss.
They are. Yeah. They have more fire than Kiss these days.
More fire. Yeah.
More theater.
No, but it's.
Was it hard for you coming on and 2007 to learn all the back catalog?
Well, there wasn't much need to learn the whole back catalog because we actually Mark decided to try and get Kong back to life, and I was the first to respond to an ad, and so we started just the 2 of us together working on new ideas rather than playing old songs. So that is what we did for I think half a year maybe. Then David, the other guitar player, joined, and we had a drummer joining, Mandy, as a 4th member, and we actually focused on writing new songs, and we did the first album together, and it was not until we started playing live that we decided to also add some songs from previous albums. And yeah, I think by that time I was pretty used to the kind of Kong method, if you want to call it, or the way of using a guitar and using those sounds. So it wasn't like okay, we start rehearsing old songs from.
For me, it was essential that we would make new music. I didn't want to have a reunion of a revival with just the old material. Actually, when I started with finding new people for the band, I wasn't even sure if it was going to be Kong again. I thought maybe we should take another name, just start a new band. But then the music developed in a way that I thought it fits the idea of Kong, and why not take advantage of the name that Kong still had, and also then have the possibility to play old songs as well.
And it also helped because when I saw this ad mentioning the name of Kong, I was familiar with Kong because I had seen them playing live before, so I knew at least in what direction that band would be. And of course, we had the whole setup with the lights and the extra stages and everything was there, so it was more or less, it wasn't much of a choice really. I think it became pretty clear, or pretty quick. It became clear that we would just keep the name Kong and make it an instrumental band, and and it also turned out to sound very similar, even though it sounded different, but it had all typical characteristics of Kong somehow. Without Mark being a very dominant force in the band. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's like a formula.
The right people and the right ingredients.
Yeah.
But and also about
the sound certainly has stayed so consistent.
Yeah, very consistent.
And signature.
That's good to hear, and it's kind of surprising in a way, but it also proves, I think, that we can't do it any different. This is our way of making music, and even if we would want to work with a singer, for instance, it probably wouldn't work because we don't know how to integrate it in the music. And
we have tried with a couple of songs, and it wasn't really working. But perhaps, Mark, we could try and make a reggae album next time.
Reggae always. You can wake me up anytime to make a reggae album. But also the interesting thing is that about playing the old material, in a way the music sounds complicated because it's sort of unusual structures, but all the separate parts are pretty straightforward and not too difficult. It's the way how they connect, how they make the whole of the music, which makes it sound maybe complicated, but and I think that's also the kind of the power of music, that basically it's pretty simple without any elaborate difficult guitar solos or incredibly difficult drum patterns or whatever. It's just the combination of everything that makes it work.
Actually, the only trained musician in Kong at the moment is the drummer. He's the only guy who had ever, or he had a conservatory for a bachelor of music or whatever. I mean, we are just self-made musicians. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so we have a little game that we play. I have 100 random questions in front of me. I want each of you to pick 3 numbers at random between 1 and 100.
So 3 questions, right?
3 numbers.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, Mark, go ahead.
3 numbers.
For me, 7, 17, and 27.
I wanted 17.
Awesome.
27 is my favorite age.
27 forever. Okay, mine, there it goes. Okay, I'll have 9, 11, and 23.
All right, number 7. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Biggest what?
Something you really hate. Something that really gets on your nerves. Something you really hate. It's called a pet peeve.
I know that.
Okay. Noise.
Yeah.
Unwanted noise. It's one of my it's a really wide spectrum, you could say. It's like noise in house from the neighbors. It's when I hate going to restaurants nowadays because there's always music. Of course, there has always been music, but I didn't notice it. But now You know, when I go to a restaurant, I want to eat. I don't want to hear music that I didn't choose myself. I hate. I don't know what the English word is, but they use it to blow away leaves on the street. You know?
Oh yeah, leaf blowers.
We just call it leaf blower.
Exactly.
blower.
Yeah, we call it too bloodblazers. Yeah. I hate those things. I mean, leave those leaves and piss off with your noisy. Okay, I think you got the picture.
Which is kind of a paradox,
Awesome.
really, because we like playing really loud music, which means a lot of noise, but that's chosen noise,
oh, yeah.
right?
But then I want to add another one.
Yeah.
The noise from people, audiences during concerts.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you know that, but it's called the Dutch disease even, because here, when people go to a concert, they're going there to chat. They're not going to, well, not everyone, of course, but many people are going there to talk about whatever bullshit and drink beer. And then, yeah, okay, there's also a band playing. So I'm always, I don't even go to, like, let's say, acoustic concerts anymore, because that's horrible. But I remember that, Thijs, when we were, years ago, we were at a concert of Ministry of all bands. They play incredibly loud. I went to stay in another spot because people next to me were driving me crazy because they were,
yeah.
You know, it's, I hate it. Shut the fuck up.
So I guess we won't have any samples of leaf blowers in any Kong song.
No, musically that might be interesting. Okay, enough.
All right, number 17. How many siblings do you have, and do you wish you had more or less?
I have one brother, and no, I'm fine with it. Maybe a sister would have been nice, but my brother lives half of the time in the United States and half of the time here, and he just arrived back today, which I'm very happy about because we train together and we can pick it up again. No, I'm happy with my one brother. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, 27. Who would you pick to play you in a movie about your life?
Well, there's one obvious choice because of the looks. Brad Pitt, of course.
Bruce Willis. Oh no.
Well,
sorry for that one.
It's now that you name is there has been a when we played years ago at a festival, there was a review later on with a photo of me on the stage, and the subtitle was the Bruce Willis of heavy metal.
Oh no!
Really? Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
You don't like bald head and no, but I love Brad Pitt.
That's great.
That's awesome. All right, so for number 9, how often do you talk to yourself out loud?
Oh, very often, because I'm on my own quite a lot at home, and yeah, I noticed that I do talk. Then I realize, oh shit, I'm talking loudly again. Yeah, so I do that. Yeah, I must admit,
it's the age.
It's the age.
All right, number 11. What makes you laugh way too hard?
Yeah, according to my children, my own jokes. I'm not laughing. I think that is about it.
That's pretty normal, though, I think. Yeah.
Isn't it?
All right, number 23. Have you ever seen a ghost?
No, I have seen many. No ghosts. No, no, not so far.
What was the hesitation on that, though? What were you considering?
That's a good question. Well, I was actually thinking of this mixing board, the soundtrack's Ghost. which is quite a famous 90s mixing board that I used quite a lot. So yeah, but that's not the ghost you're aiming at, is it?
The ghost in the machine. Yeah.
Ghost in the machine.
Well, I thought it was a great idea. I noticed if you get any Kong download, you get Mute Poet Vocalizer as well. I thought that was a super great idea. Now, a lot of your stuff, it looks like it's available on CD. Will there be vinyl?
That's a question often asked. But the production of vinyl here in Europe takes a very, very long time. It takes approximately 12 months now. So so by the time you have your finished mixes, it takes another 12 months before the album is finished. And we're not really that much focused on time, as you may have noticed, because we took 2 years to produce this album. But no, at this stage we choose CDs only, but perhaps at a later stage we might do some vinyl too. Because I know in this kind of musical area, people appreciate vinyl a lot, so that makes it an option. But it's also a thing about we're selling CDs in the Netherlands, but also sending a lot to outside of the Netherlands, and sending vinyl is also a thing. I mean, it's much more expensive, it's much more fragile, it takes much more time. So. No,
I'm not so much into vinyl myself. I always found it a pretty vulnerable medium, and I don't see the charm of I don't hear it as well. So for me, it's not something that we like to like. This one, the CD is. I mean, it's also nothing, but at least it's a thing, and it's compact disc, and we're happy. I wouldn't
mind vinyl, but yeah, it's no priority at this stage. No.
Gotcha. I was thinking about, because your great colorful album covers, now they have all this great colorful vinyl. I mean, he collects it. We never play it, but you know, if we have something we want, but we'll have it, but we don't play it.
A lot of the bands that we like, even the newer bands, they're caught up in this backlog of vinyl, like you said, 12 months. And I didn't really understand it until I was at a big retailer and they had records. I think it was Walmart. And it was all Billie Eilish and Adele. And I thought, well, this is who's getting the vinyl priority. It's stuff like that. Yeah. So the little less obscure bands are going to take forever if Adele is taking priority, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
it works well in a lot of grindcore bands too, because you can do the splatter effect on the vinyl. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. But it's sell 2 billion copies. I guess you get a priority.
Yeah, for sure. But there is a shortage of vinyl producing machines, you know, over here. That we the guy who is doing our distribution is planning to set up a vinyl factory because of this, and I think he just ordered 2 of those machines, but it takes ages and they're incredibly expensive as well. So it's well, it's booming business.
Interesting, yeah.
But also,
are you planning a tour for?
Sorry,
not until 24.
Oh,
yeah,
24.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be just Europe, or?
It also takes a while to get sorted, and there are also some circumstances which makes it not really doable to do it this year, unfortunately. So,
you know, if anyone would ask us to come, for instance, to the United States to play there, we would certainly consider it, but that doesn't happen. I mean, our audience at this moment is so small and scattered over the whole world, basically, that it's not really worthwhile to come to wherever for one gig, because there won't be enough people coming, and for a tour, it's also too complicated, too expensive. So that's not realistic. Unfortunately,
that's why I figured we could suck people in with pyrotechnics and your dancers that you choreograph for. You know, we'll throw all them in there too.
Yeah. And find someone with a lot of cash that he doesn't need and wants to invest, and who knows?
Yeah, I don't hopes of seeing you guys, but maybe someday we will see you. I'd love to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you travel to Europe now and then?
I do. It's not as much as I used to. I used to work for a Danish company, and I used to have to go to Denmark about once a quarter. Now I work for a Norwegian company, and luckily they don't make me go to Norway very often because I don't want to. But I've been to Europe many times, so and I love it for the first 2 or 3 days. But by the time the third or fourth day comes around, I want a 24-hour Walmart. I miss it. So I love the charm of Europe, but you know what I mean? I'm an American. What can I say?
Yeah, they seem to close up the sidewalks a lot earlier there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's changing, but still, it's nothing to compare to United States for sure.
Also, the food in Europe, I like that they actually leave some white plate, because in the United States they cram every inch, and then they're like, "Here's your French fries, and here's your other side." Yeah, we're little people. We kind of like European-sized portions.
We can split an entree in a restaurant and still have someone over. Yeah. It's crazy.
I think that's why people are skinnier in Europe for the most part. Yeah. So, yeah.
For sure.
But it's also happening here, and it's becoming more and more. People are obese these days, many people, and I think the diet in Europe is also changing towards more fatter, etc.
Every super size,
Everything size.
Well, this was great. I think we covered a lot of ground.
Very nice.
And you both have guitars behind you. Shocking.
Yeah.
That's a coincidence.
Yeah, well, there should be a little bit rock and roll in, even if it's at home, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, thanks for your time, and thanks for having us. And we look forward to the results.
Yeah.
The sounds of decay!
Okay, Sounds of Decay time. We'll start off with Judiciary. Judiciary are from Lubbock, Texas, home of Buddy Holly and Ryan Tannehill, for those of you who care. It's a young five-piece, and they put together what I would call a flawless assimilation of metalcore and classic thrash metal. Flesh and Blood is the name of the album, and it's 30 minutes of huge drums peppered with massive double bass segments from the impressively named Austin Scott Looney. That's his real name. And I'm really fighting the urge to make Monty Python references, so I won't. The singer's name is Jake Collinson, and he ain't doing any clean vocals at all. He's practically boiling the ocean on every song. While guitarist Israel Garza and Kyle Calfin, they take turns launching dramatic, shred-heavy solos, concise but memorable.
It's admirable how much intensity Judiciary can pack into 3 or 3.5 minute songs.
Yeah.
Slow Stomper Blood goes through at least 3 distinctive riff updates. You've got to listen for these tempo changes.
Right. They keep upgrading the riff. By the time we get to the third one, it's like, wow, that's better than anything. Crazy. The band seems to show this sort of irreverent reverence to Metallica's And Justice for All record. Now, this is just me spitballing here, but they got the scales burning on the album cover. And the song Paradigm Piercer that we're going to play for you sounds kind of like a metalcore take on Harvester of Sorrow. See if you hear some Harvester of Sorrow in this one. So
all the guitars in this are stunning. The solos are amazing.
Yeah.
But Estachos, Hermia, and Engulfed are the ones that seem to shine brightest guitar-wise.
I could go for some Estachos.
Plus, the opening riff of Stare Into the Sun eclipses Lamb of God's entire catalog. There, we said it. Turkish Prison or not?
I know. All right. Come at me in the comments. I know we went to Turkish Prison. But this is better than Lamb of God, people.
This is a band you need to check out like yesterday.
All right. Paradigm Piercer, a.k.a. Harvester of Sorrow. Okay, I'll let you handle this. These are your girls.
Oh, these are definitely my girls. Sounds of Decay 2 coming at you right now. This is Death Pill. Now, we've talked about artists flourishing in the hardest of circumstances.
It's almost like we planned that.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? But now enter Death Pill. This is a trio from Kiev, Ukraine. I hope I'm saying that right. That have dropped. They had to write and record and drop this remarkable debut close to a year after their home country was invaded by Russia.
Yeah. Just think about that for a minute. You know, kind of like we were talking about earlier with the Chinese art. I mean, this is not shitty Wi-Fi signal stuff here, people. This is humans being oppressed. Fear of death.
So I love their spunkiness. I love their totally understood ferocity. The heavy, it's got real heavy distorted guitar. Amazing. Now, unfortunately, because of all the turmoil, they are now, unfortunately, because of all the turmoil and upheaval in their home country, they all kind of had to separate. So they're now separated by considerable distance. Drummer Anastasia Comento relocated to Spain.
You can handle all these names.
While bassist Natalia Stervakova migrated to Australia. And the band has culled together a ferocious sonic stew of scorching thrash metal frosted with riot girl attitude.
Yeah. It's like a flower that kind of grows through the concrete. The guitarist Mariana Navrutskaya. She pulls from what seems to me like a seemingly endless supply of Gatling gun riffs, screaming to paint off the walls. These are 9 songs. They do their business quickly. The whole thing clocks in at 29 minutes, and there is not a speck of fat on this thing.
You know, I can definitely hear that metallic hardcore, but they have that Injustice punk rock feel.
Yeah. I mean, let's listen to a cut like Die for Vietnam or the one we're going to play for you, Kill the Traitors. There's hard pan riffs. They sound like Creator in 88, but then it'll move into this oddly sunny chorus that it should seem like out of place, like it doesn't work, but it does. The final track is called Would You Marry Me? And it's perhaps the most charming collision of bubblegum pop and hardcore I've ever heard. So
a must-hear for extreme music fans that don't mind a little Runaways or Tishu Me.
I never say it right either.
Or it's hard.
That crazy Japanese punk band.
Mare Me.
Yeah.
Swirled into their thrash. This thing smokes.
Okay, let's play a song.
This is Kill the Traitors.
Okay, Sounds of Decay 3, Necropanther, 4-piece from Denver, formed in 2014. Their latest album is their 4th record. It's called Betrayed. It's an excellent sort of tech thrash along the lines of Vector or Corner, but with sweeping, grandiose guitar harmonies that are woven strongly into the mix. Now, they're not as compressed sounding as, say, Vector. There's this sort of analog air to the way the guitars sit in the arrangement. I really like it.
Yeah, I really like the way, as per their Bandcamp page, they said they're a short, thrashy death metal from a dystopian future.
Yeah, cool.
I like it. The songs are shorter in the 3 to 5 minute range primarily. Each of their records is apparently based on a novel that became an iconic movie. This album being based on the Soul Uric novel from 1965, The Warriors. Now, this book was about rival gangs in New York City. So,
I read that they went all the way to Sweden to record the album, too, which is interesting. It's all very interesting. This band has some depth behind it, The riffs are very knife-like. The guitarists, Joe Johnson and Paul Enop, who also handles a vocal rasp. They show an affinity for dramatic solos, kind of like In Flames plays, Easy Dog. Plus, I love the old school liner notes, solo Enop, solo Johnson. Remember the good old days? Solo King, solo Hanneman. My favorite cuts would be the opener, One and Only, if only for the slamming turnaround about halfway through the song, and Johnson's glorious lyrical solos. But the one that I keep coming back to is the one we're going to play for you. It's called Out of the Sand, which maintains kind of a chuggy mid pace with lots of percussive zigzags. It reminds me of Aneda. Remember those guys?
Yeah, it's a lot of technical good thrash with like black metal sprinkled in.
Yeah. Plus that cover, you got to have that on a t-shirt, people. That's pure porn. This song we're going to play, like I said, is Out of the Sand. Well, we didn't change the background, but it's still a good show. I have to put a big sign that says change background, change background. Oh, well.
You could have called me.
Why now? We're done.
Just we didn't during the interview. Remember we had technical difficulties?
No, I thought, oh yeah, we did. Oh, well. All right. This isn't our best background show. Oh, well. This was a good show. I had a hard time getting through the memorandum stuff. That was we talked about what else? Oh,
tortured Chinese artists.
We talked the trip to DC.
You know, which were producing wonderful art under horrible conditions, and bands that produce wonderful music under horrible conditions, like Death Pill.
We talked about, well, we're breaking up. Well, I'm taking the fucking washing machine then. And the dryer and the TV. Everything I gave you for your birthday, I'm taking with me. So, well, nice. Nice guy.
And I went, just get out.
What was the not souffle cups?
Oh, the custard cups.
You took the custard cup.
Because you're such
These are mine.
Okay.
Custard cups. Yeah, we had to order them on Amazon.
Right. This has been the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast. Special thanks to Mark and Tiz from Kong for appearing on the show. Be sure to check out the new Kong record, Traders of Truth, ASAP. And if you're happy with that, check out their back catalog because it's all fantastic. Snaggletooth theme courtesy of Gustav Gord from Defleshed. Decay theme by Steve Rathbone of Lair of the Minotaur. Campfire bands, get over to Bandcamp and grab some tunes from Night Goat and Negative Prayer. Decay bands, check them out, Judiciary, Necropanther, and Death Pill. All content 2023. The Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast.
They're rock blocks.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.